Keep Iowa First, committed to keeping the Iowa caucuses the first in the nation contest in selecting the presidency of the United States. And now, here's your host, Brent Roske.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to, here we go. The first big episode of the new year. It's you could call Friday the soft open. We had a great show with Brian Fogel here. I'll show you a shot of that. But it was a great first episode. There's Brian. He got the Oscar for a movie called Icarus. You can watch it on Netflix right now. Just a great response. So grateful to everyone who checked out the program and has reached out since then. We have a big show today. Folks, do you love the Cobra Kai show on Netflix? I sure do. It is a top 10 worldwide streamer, and the guy there on the screen, that's Ken Davitian. Ken, you remember him from the movie Borat. He's now on Cobra Kai. He's on all 3 seasons of the program, and he does a great job. He actually his character owns the strip mall that the Cobra Kai dojo is in. So that's been a lot of fun. And we're going to be chatting with him tomorrow, which is very exciting. Ken has been a friend of mine for many, many years. And we go back. Let me show you this. This is there. There's Ken right there and John Lovitz. That is a short film that Ken and I did. It was actually written by Ken's son a few years back. We filmed at my house in Mount Washington in Los Angeles. And that hot dog stand there was called the Infield. That was a place that Ken's family owned. Ken owned it, and he called up John, and we had fun that day. But going to be chatting with Ken tomorrow. He's a sweetheart of a guy, and we're going to be chatting about Cobra Kai and Borat and all the other stuff he's been doing. Couple quick news headlines. This is a busy week for news, as you know. So tomorrow we have runoff election in Georgia. Newt Gingrich had this to say on Twitter. If Senate Republicans fail to bring up the $2,000 payment, they risk losing the 2 seats in Georgia. Now, obviously, the $2,000 payment did not get brought up for a vote. So let's see if Newt Gingrich was right. Obviously, Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the House. So all eyes certainly in politics are going to be looking at that race tomorrow. And then, of course, Wednesday, we've got the electors in Washington, D.C. So Wednesday, I am happy to have on my buddy, the D.C. Shadow Senator Paul Strauss. He's going to walk through what D.C. thinks about all the shenanigans going on. And we'll have lots to talk about because obviously the runoff, if it's too close to call, but we'll have plenty to talk about Wednesday with U.S. Senator Paul Strauss. Take a look at this, folks. So this is something that has been popping up mostly at senior homes across really around the world, really. But this is called a hug wall. I wanted to share this because it speaks to the need we all have to connect right now. And you know what I say, we actually sent out Christmas cards this year. And, one of the reasons I'd actually never done it, never gone through the trouble of taking the photos and getting them run off and all that. But this year, definitely we decided that it was something we wanted to do because we wanted to give people something they could literally hold on to. So if you are missing someone, if you want to reach out, pick up a pen. I know it sounds archaic, and maybe you can read your writing better than you can read mine right now, but send a letter, put some thoughts down on paper, and just another way for people to connect in these different times. And this hug wall, I think, we're all getting creative on ways that we can figure out how to connect with each other. So do what you can, reach out. And finally, before we bring on our guest today, Chuck Offenberger is an Iowa legend in journalism. He wrote the Iowa Boy column for the Des Moines Register for literally decades. This is a post they put up on social media just a couple days ago. A perfect day for snow angels. His wife Carla is battling cancer. I got to spend some time with Chuck on the campaign trail last year when I was working on one of the presidentials, and we just I want to share my best wishes to Chuck and Carla They are wonderful people, fantastic Iowans. So I'm glad to get to make some snow angels with the granddaughters visiting from Ohio there. So let's bring on our guest, folks. But actually, first we're going to show something very cool. So as you might know, Mars is sending NASA rather is sending up a new rover. Did you hear about this? It is now the new Perseverance rover has left Earth. It is now almost to Mars. It's going to get to Mars just after Valentine's Day. They're scheduling it on February 18th. And NASA just released a 1-minute trailer with a visualization. It's obviously graphics. It hasn't happened yet, but a visualization of what this might look like. So let's take a look at the 60-second piece from NASA, and then we're going to bring on our first guest. It's Ben Godar with the Des Moines Film Society, and they did something that every filmmaker in the world has ever wanted to do. He bought a theater. We're going to talk about that in 60 seconds. I'm just a huge fan of the space program, but there he is, Ben Godar. Thanks for being on the program today, Ben.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
So what Ben has done, folks do stuff in life and they get out there and they make a go of things. But what Ben is working on, I couldn't be a bigger supporter of. Not only the Des Moines Film Society, but they literally bought the beautiful, beautiful Varsity Theater. I was fortunate enough to have a film According Des Moines play there, and many Iowa filmmakers and many national filmmakers have had their film play there and national runs. So Ben, tell us about the Film Society. Tell us about the Varsity Theater.
Yeah, well, Des Moines Film Society, we're a nonprofit here in Des Moines, and our mission is just broadly to grow the film culture here. And so we've been doing that. We've been around for about 5 years, so folks may have come out to some of our events. We've done some big events at Hoyt Sherman. We've done smaller events at various other theaters and venues around the city. But really, starting about 2 years ago, our primary focus moved to the Varsity when that became available, because that was always part of our long-term plan, was to operate a full-time art house cinema here in town. And so it's been a process, but yeah, we have purchased the building, and later this month we're going to be launching the kind of public-facing capital campaign for that project, and be able to share more about kind of the vision for what we're going to do there. But in short, it's about continuing the legacy of the Varsity. It's about making a few kind of rehabilitations and things to bring it into the 21st century. And so we're excited about what we can do there in terms of, bringing more and more unique film programming to Des Moines.
And that area, the Varsity Theater, folks, if you don't know, here in Des Moines, it is a perfect area to do what they're talking about. Next door is my buddy MJ's place, Ghazali's, serving the best gyros this side of Greece. But it's a fantastic area. It's across the street from Drake. It's right there in the University District. So I'm personally so glad when I saw that the Varsity was closing down, and that happened pre-pandemic. They decided it was a family-owned business, and they decided to end a long run, put it up on the market. I'm so glad that someone like you, who loves film, went ahead and made the big jump, because it is a leap. A friend of mine starred in the movie Pi, and he bought a film in Monaco, of all places. And I've heard throughout the years the challenges that they have come across, but especially in a digital day and age, you're going with something very traditional, a movie theater. What is your background? Not only your love of film, but specifically your desire to be a live theater owner.
Yeah, well, I did grow up in Iowa in Ames primarily, and did my undergrad at Iowa State. Got into journalism, but then soon after college, moved out to LA, and was always interested in screenwriting. So I worked in newspapers out there for a little while. Worked for the LA Times for a while, and then did film school out there, and lived out there for about 5 years. Worked, kind of started working in the screenwriting side of the industry, and then my wife and I relocated back to Des Moines just to be closer to family and everything. And for quite a while, I was still kind of commuting out there to, kind of work on projects and things like that. But Brent, as I know, a lot of times that was about like, going to meetings and, drinking a lot of, bottles of water. Was projects weren't always getting getting made, but I did that for quite a while, and was honestly just kind of looking to be a little more connected to something here locally. And my friend Andy Brody, who co-founded Film Scene in Iowa City, right around that time, he had kind of started talking to me about, we should really look to do something in Des Moines like Film Scene. Des Moines has had really great arts nonprofits here, over the last 20 plus years, and you had things like the Des Moines Music Coalition, various kind of visual arts organizations. There wasn't anything dedicated specifically to the art of film. And so I said, hey, I am kind of looking to get involved in something locally here. Let's do this. So over time, I kind of co-founded the organization and was the board president, and now I'm our director. And so we've just, gradually pushed that vision forward, and here we are.
You talk about screenwriting in Los Angeles, as you mentioned, incredibly difficult. Even with all the new streaming platforms, a lot of those spaces are getting gobbled up by folks who have, prior hits, etc. I was in a meeting a million years ago on the Warner Brothers lot with Joel Silver about product placement when I was at NBC. And he said, screenwriters, it's like that the war movie scene you see when they land on the beach at Normandy and the thing comes down and the Nazis just shoot them down one by one. He goes, those are screenwriters trying to get up over the walls here at Warner Brothers. I'm like, wow, that's a dark way to see it. It is a challenging endeavor, but I'm glad that you found your way back to Iowa, because what you're doing here, so talk about, you mentioned that some of these details are to come, but a full-blown art house theater here in Des Moines, definitely something that I think the local community could get behind, and that there's a real hunger for.
Yeah, absolutely. We think so as well. And, one exciting thing since I've gotten involved in the organization is getting plugged into a national organization called Art House Convergence. That's really a collection of art house theaters around the country, primarily nonprofits like us. And it's been really exciting to see how successful they are. There's just a really strong model for this kind of thing. And, you look at cities, any comparable cities, bigger cities, even smaller cities, you see nonprofit art house cinemas thriving. So we're really confident we can do the same thing here as well.
Yeah, and people don't, Mark Hayes is he's a local entrepreneur. He's also an artist. He also has his own brand of whiskey, which I've talked to him several times. I'm just a big fan of all the things that he puts out there. He's always on publish, and I love that. But we
actually just got a bottle of his whiskey last night, I believe. So
look at that. I'm gonna have him on the show next week, and we're gonna talk about it. We on the holiday special, we were gonna have a toast, but the TV people didn't want me to be drinking on television, so we just had to have the bottle there. But the Burn the Boats whiskey. But he and I have talked about this in length about how Des Moines. I've lived in Los Angeles. You've lived in Los Angeles. People who live in New York, they go out there to be artists. They realize that that's not necessarily the landscape anymore. That the real estate price, even for rentals, is so it will not let you play and focus on your creative work. You're going to have to get something that earns quite a bit of bucks just to stay in the town. So he and I have talked about Des Moines absolutely has the potential to be a real hub. It could be the next Austin. It could be the next Portland. We've got an airport right down the road here. And if you ever, it's almost like the Burbank airport. If you ever want to see ease of airline travel, grab one bag, walk through, 10 minutes later, you're on the plane. But, people don't necessarily think about Des Moines as an arts hub, and something like this, what you're talking about, will definitely help toward that. Of course, Mainframe Studios downtown right now is a real artistic gathering place as well. So when you have talked to folks, getting your own family on board saying, okay, we're going to jump in, we're going to buy a theater. Did you get any pushback?
Well, to be clear, this is the nonprofit organization that is purchasing the theater. So this is not Ben Godar purchasing it. It is Des Moines Film Society. So that was not so much of a problem. And really for us, it's been more about, and as I mentioned, we haven't. The capital campaign is going to be launching later this month, so we haven't gotten fully into this yet. But people obviously have heard about it. We did this summer. We did go through the landmarking process and had the building designated as a Des Moines landmark, which is really exciting. But that was kind of a way that that was sort of the cat getting out of the bag a little bit there. And just because of the pandemic, we extended our timeline a little bit. So whereas we kind of hoped to launch the campaign this summer, we're launching it now in the new year. So people have heard about it, and for us, it's really just a time to tell people the story. I mean, people, one benefit for us, people know the story of the Varsity. People, know and love that theater. So we have that going for us. But we're excited to start telling them about kind of, our vision for it and how we're going to carry forward so much what they were already doing, but how there's some kind of exciting new things we can bring as well. So
I saw one of the last films that they showed at the Varsity. It was called The Leisure Seeker, and it starred Helen Mirren and Donald Sutherland. And obviously an older cast, and the audience was a bit older. And I just happened to end up striking a conversation with some folks who'd seen my television show, and they were like, "We've been coming to the Varsity Theater our whole lives. It's definitely a part of the fabric of Des Moines." And folks, if you haven't been there, this is a one-screen movie theater, and it's got that beautiful lighting on a big blue curtain in front, and it's just it's a beautiful place. It's got tons of history, especially for Des Moines. So Ben, what is you're going into art house cinema? What are some of the art house films that you like? What inspired you to take this route?
Oh, well, that's an interesting question. I mean, I have a fairly wide kind of breadth of films that I enjoy, I'd say, and that's just kind of my personal taste, but then just having, studied film and I've taught film for years as well. So, so that's a little bit of a cop out. One thing, since the pandemic started, we pivoted and started digital, virtual cinema. And so that's something we've been doing since early April. So on our website, people can watch new release art house films that would have been playing in cinemas like the Varsity, right on our website. And we've shown several films that, are films that I really enjoy. So for example, actually right now we have a film in there called Another Round. It's a Danish film. It's about a group of kind of middle-aged men. They're all teachers at an elementary school. And so one of them presents this idea from some kind of crank scientist or philosopher that basically everyone functions better when they're at like a 0.05 blood alcohol content. Like they're like more alert and they're more sociable and all this kind of stuff. So these guys decide to basically conduct an experiment and just go about their lives, half drunk basically all the time. And so anyway, it's funny, but it's also serious and interesting. And so, but that's kind of a good example of the kind of films that I enjoy. Just kind of a interesting kind of off the wall premise, or something a little weird. But yeah.
And let's talk about that. So I've been a supporter of the Film Society. I get the new releasing films. You've been showing films as they go along like this. Why don't you tell viewers if they want to watch some of these awesome movies, how they can do so?
Yeah, well, right now they can go to DesMoinesFilm.org, and if you click on virtual cinema there, you'll see what we have available right now. So right now, Another Round that I mentioned is in there, as well as a documentary called 76 Days it's set and was filmed in Wuhan, China, in the first 76 days of the COVID crisis. Just a real, very opposite end of the spectrum, obviously very serious piece of filmmaking there. So folks can go there and check it out. I am excited. Excuse me. One thing we're going to be launching also probably later this month is sort of a virtual cinema version 2.0, and that's really gonna it's going to upgrade the user experience. It's going to allow us to program and bring in more films as well. So I would say watch for that as well. I think that'll be launching alongside with that Varsity Cinema Capital campaign. And anybody who wants to follow any of those things, that DesMoinesFilm.org is the best spot right now. You can follow our social media channels there. You can sign up for our newsletter, all that kind of stuff. So.
And that touches on, obviously, Wonder Woman just came out in theaters and on HBO Max. Tenet did a theatrical run. Brian Fogel's film, which is on Friday, his movie is in theaters, getting an on-demand release on Friday. So what do you think about the motion picture industry's response to all this? Are there ideas they haven't tried yet that they should, or what do you think about what they're trying to do to get these movies out in front of people?
Well, I would say I'm not too critical, because who knows what the right thing is for anybody right now. When Warner Brothers and to a lesser extent Disney announced moving a significant portion of their slate to kind of day and date streaming, I have some concerns about how that impacts the theatrical industry, but that's more at the kind of the bigger boys and the chains are the ones that are really gonna kind of be playing those. So that's not falling into our kind of art house world as much. But I also don't expect that's something that's gonna be a permanent change, because there's so much revenue in theatrical, and everything is gonna go to streaming eventually anyway. So if you cut theatrical out, you're essentially just cutting that piece of your revenue stream out. And I don't think you're really adding all of that revenue in those other areas too. So, my sense is a lot of these things that we're seeing this year are just, people have to do something this year. It's just not safe for people in mass groups, to be going out and into cinemas yet. And I think this year it will be. I think we're gonna get there in the coming months. But until it is, if this is the way they can get films out, I'm just glad the films are out there. And for us specifically, I'm glad that we can keep bringing these new release art house films, here to Des Moines, even if we can't be open, have our physical space open.
Well, Ben, I just want to tell you congratulations. Again, I'm a huge supporter of what you're doing. I was grateful that you could come on early in this series to talk about this, and we're going to have you back on. We're going to follow the progress, not only of the Film Society, but of the theater. And I think the timing is just, I personally think the timing is fantastic, because by the time you guys are ramped up and ready to go, pandemic should be behind us. And I think people are going to have a hunger to go out, make a night of it. And that's what art house cinema has always been to me. I've been an art house cinema fan forever. You make a night of it, you get the dinner beforehand, you go to the theater, and you really make it a thing. And I think Des Moines, Iowa is ready for a higher art experience. So way to go, my friend, way to go. Now, viewers, again, tomorrow we got Ken Davitian. He's on Cobra Kai right now on Netflix, which is a top 10 series around the world. You remember him from the Borat films and a bunch of other stuff as well. He's going to be on tomorrow. Wednesday, U.S. Senator Paul Strauss is going to run through some politics, as well as, speaking of Hollywood, Lisa Marks wrote Ryan is Ready for You Now, about all her years in entertainment. She's going to run through her entertainment picks, what's available right now. And then this Friday, we have a Golden Globe winning actress. I'm going to just tease it with that. As well as early next week, we've got a director of a hit network show. And then we've got the co-creator of one of the biggest series that are going to be coming out next year, rather. That'll be coming up next week as well. So our entertainment connections on this program are substantial, and I'm grateful to each and every one of them for coming on the show, including Mr. Ben Godar. Thanks for being on, buddy.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Now, folks, we're going to close out today's show with a piece that I directed for Justice for Vets with the cast of The West Wing. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.
A decade of war has taken an unprecedented toll on our men and women in uniform.
Most veterans return to our communities as leaders, but everyone's journey home is not the same.
Hundreds of thousands of our veterans are suffering from the trauma of war.
Without assistance, the downward spiral can be quick and destructive.
It doesn't have to be this way.
At Justice for Vets, we believe that every veteran should have the opportunity for treatment and restoration.
Justice for Vets is the only national organization dedicated to the expansion of veterans' treatment courts.
Veterans treatment courts hold our veterans accountable for their actions.
By providing structure, treatment, and mentoring, these courts help our veterans and their families get their lives back on track.
And veterans treatment courts work.
We ask much of our men and women in uniform, and they ask little in return. It is our collective duty to come to their aid when they struggle on the home front. This not only honors their sacrifice, but makes our communities stronger.
A donation to Justice for Vets helps put a veterans treatment court within reach of every veteran in need.
A donation to Justice for Vets keeps veterans and treatment where they belong.
A donation to Justice for Vets shows your commitment to leaving no veteran behind.
A donation to Justice for Vets will help save lives, restore families, and rebuild communities.
Get involved and go to justiceforvets.org.
Veterans fought for our freedom. Now it's our turn to fight for theirs. Thank you.